Drew Sports presents the top 5 March Madness upsets of all time. Hi everyone, you get 2 for 1 with me today. So, if you watch my March Madness picks, you know who I'm picking to win it all this year. I'm not going to give it to you. You're going to have to go and watch the video and find out yourself. Anyways, we're back as the March Madness, as the sports athlete bracket is over. So we are going back to what we were doing when I first started at DrewSports.com, where every Wednesday I post a top 12 of a specific topic of all time. Today it was top 12 March Madness upsets of all time. I'm going to be doing a video along with it as well, just to let y'all know so you can see me here on YouTube. But spoiler, if you want to go see the top 12 entire list, you have to go to DrewSports.com to see it. All I'm going to do here is give you the top 5 of all time. And I'll do that for every video on Wednesday. I will give you a top 5 on my YouTube channel, the Sports 2 with Drew YouTube channel. Or you can go to DrewSports.com to see the top 12 list. Please respond below, like, subscribe, send some banter. I love it. Let's get to the list. Anyways, so this first one is George Mason over UConn in 2006. This was in the Elite Eight. I don't know why I put 2016. It's supposed to be 2006. 2006. George Mason over UConn. George Mason was an 11 seed, a little bit of a spark plug team, but it was actually very controversial them even getting in a tournament that year, in 3rd place in the Patriot League, and there was a lot of banter about, oh, they got in, when they shouldn't have. Well, guess what? They didn't just get in. They went to the Final Four, and they beat North Carolina and Michigan State early in the tournament, and in the Elite Eight, they beat a UConn team that their entire starting 5 played in the NBA. UConn was an absolute juggernaut in 2006, and George Mason was down 9 at the half, came back in the second half, forced OT, and in an OT, UConn had a shot to win it with a 3, and guess what? It was missed. So George Mason, and then you remember Vern Lundquist's call, if you watched the game, my George! I can't do Vern Lundquist very well, but... but anyways, we're going to go to number 4 now. Number 4, 1985, Villanova over Georgetown. This was an historic win for college basketball as well, because they just expanded the field to 64 teams. Now 68, but the bracket that we always vote on, the bracket that I use for the sports athlete bracket, 64 teams, 64 schools. It began in 1985, and Villanova has an 8 seed, beating Patrick Ewing, John Thompson's Georgetown Hoyas in the championship game. Was noted as one of the biggest upsets of all time. It also was one of the games that created the advent of the shot clock. Villanova shot 79% from the floor, but also held the ball for a long time, slowing down the pace of the game. There's a lot of teams who did that back in the day to try to hang with the big dogs. You can't do that now, obviously. There's a 30-second shot clock. Used to be 35. Glad they shortened it to 30. It has really helped kind of pick up the possessions in a college basketball game, make games a little bit more entertaining towards the end as well. A lot more strategy goes into late game situations in college basketball. Maybe, just maybe, one of these years I'll actually have you in-ball to the ball from half court late in the game like they do in the NBA, which is awesome. Make games even more exciting, but that's for a different day. But yeah, Villanova winning it all, 66-64 over to Georgetown Hoyas. This was in 2016, and this just breaks my heart because in 2016, Michigan State got hosed. They should have been a number 1 seed, but they were a number 2 seed. And guess what? I picked them to win it all. My wife picked them to win it all. A couple of my best friends picked them to win it all. And they lose to Middle Tennessee in the first round. Anyways, it was one of the biggest upsets in March Madness history, especially because Tom Izzo teams usually never play down under competition, but they did on this day. You got to give Middle Tennessee credit. Middle Tennessee made it back to the tournament the following year as a 12 seed and also won a game that year. Kudos to Middle Tennessee. They broke a lot of brackets, including mine, over the Sparty. It was a 90-81 win, and Middle Tennessee was just fantastic. They looked like a lot. They didn't look like they should have been a 15 seed. I'll just put it that way. And a 15-2 upset. Number 2, NC State over Houston, Five Slamma Jamma in 1983. The Lorenzo Charles dunk at the buzzer Jim Valvano running around the court looking for someone to hug. You know, have you ever been in a moment in your life where you're just so elated you don't know what to do? That's what Jim Valvano looked like there. The late Jim Valvano, obviously one of the more inspirational college basketball coaches of all time. I don't know if you've ever watched that 30-30. You should. It's amazing. Anyways, NC State beat Houston. Houston had Clyde Drexler and Hakeem Olajuwon on that team. It was one of the best, probably, college basketball teams to not win the whole thing of all time. NC State, though, the run that NC State went on in 1983, the year I was born, was one of the most amazing runs in the history of any sport. The fact that they won 4 days in a row, beating Virginia and Michael Jordan's North Carolina Tar Heels. College basketball was awesome back in the 80s and 90s because now you have a lot of, you have all the one-and-done players, but players stuck around for 3-4 years. Magic Johnson was really the first one to leave early. But even in the 80s, Michael Jordan left after 3 years, and that was a rarity. Most college basketball players in the 80s, they stayed 4 years, like Patrick Ewing with Georgetown, made kind of these juggernauts in college basketball. And that's a little bit of a history lesson for you youngins. But NC State over Houston, 1983, one of the biggest upsets in the history of college basketball, one of the most amazing moments in the history of sports, to be honest with you. I am not exaggerating. That is not a hot take. That is a fact. Number one. Number one would be, it happened recently. I was actually here in Vegas with some friends. Me and the missus, Sports 2 Drew, were actually watching the game at a sports bar in New York hotel. Not far, obviously, from where I live. And then all of a sudden, every time you hear UMBC make a three-pointer, all you hear around the sports book, oh! You gotta love those moments when like the whole sports book, the whole bar is just going crazy because they're seeing something that's just kind of out of this world. Virginia was not just a number 1 seed, they're the only number 1 seed to ever lose in the first round. They were the overall number 1 seed. They went 32-2 that year. And in the following year, Virginia won the whole darn thing, which tells you just how ridiculous this upset was. And it wasn't even that it was an upset. It was an absolute just curb stomping. Like UMBC won by 20. They kicked the crap out of Virginia. We did not see this coming. No one saw this coming. But it happened. It's number 1. If you want to go see the rest of the list, just to let you know, some of those Missouri people, I got a couple of Kansas losses on there for you over the years. So go check it out at drewsports.com. It's the latest article on the site. So drewsports.com, if you couldn't see in the little print right there, drewsports.com. Also, follow me on Facebook, Sports2 with Drew. On Twitter, at StuDrew as well. Please like and subscribe. I want more friends. I want more followers. I want to chat with you more. If you do respond to me on any of these platforms, I promise I will respond. Appreciate all the supports. Appreciate all the supports. Appreciate talking about sports. I'm excited for March Madness. First 4 starts mañana. That is Spanish for tomorrow. For those of you who do not know a lick of Spanish, for the rest of you, you knew what I meant. Anyways, have a nice day. Thanks again, everyone. I will see you very, very soon. And go your bracket.